Welcome to this week's inspiring episode of Drive for Life. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Drive for Life. I'm your host, Brian Martindale. Tonight's episode is with our friend Mark Cooper. Mark's coming to us live from Okemos, Michigan. He's going to talk to us about his battle with kidney disease and our efforts we're going to talk about to help him find his living kidney donor. So, Mark, first of all, it's great to have you join us tonight. Thank you for coming and spending time with us. You're very welcome. So, Mark, you've gone through a battle for a while now. You are listed for transplant. Can we just start by talking about when this started and a little bit about your life? Tell us a little bit about how things started in your personal life. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, the story pretty much started for the disease in about 2000. I was living in Southern California at the time. I had just opened up my first company and I started to get sick, but I didn't know what was wrong with me. So after fighting for a while of battling to whether I should go to the doctor, I went in and my blood pressure was like 230 over 170. So they realized at that point something major was wrong. So they did a lot of tests. It probably took them a couple of weeks to figure it out, but then they found out that I, in fact, had a kidney disease. It's an autoimmune disease called IgA nephropathy. So that supposedly that attacked my kidney. And the problem with autoimmune versus some of the other CKD kidney diseases is it also brings other issues with it because of your bad immune system. But I got so sick and so swollen, the doctors first thought to stop the autoimmune was to put me on loads of a drug called prednisone. Prednisone is a very nasty drug to your body. So you end up with probably more side effects than you do with a kidney disease. But I gained immediately 60 pounds of fluid weight. I couldn't walk for a few years because I couldn't even put on a pair of tennis shoes. Needless to say, because I was that sick, I couldn't continue my company that I had just owned. So I lost my company. I had to sell my house near, I was about a mile from the ocean. So basically my whole life drastically changed.
Right?
I was single and alone, so I didn't have anyone to help me. So at that point, we decided it was best if I moved back to Michigan, and I actually moved in with my mother because I needed care. I lived there for a few years while I tried to recover. It took a few years before I could really be up and doing stuff on my feet, but it was nice to have family there to help me. After about 4 years and I started to feel better, I did decide it was time to go back to work. Most people probably would tell you that kidney disease it's kind of an invisible disease, but it certainly limits your ability to work long hours.
Absolutely.
As a career, I was a product designer, product inventor, sales. I traveled the country and I traveled the world. So I was on the go and busy all the time. So for me to be told by my disease that I could no longer do those things was torture, and I also was a gym rat at that point in my life. So my idea after they dosed me full of the prednisone was I got to lose this weight. So I went to the gym, and because I had gained 60 pounds, I started lifting. And one of the side effects of prednisone is your muscles get really weak and also your bones get very brittle. Not knowing how brittle they were, when I was doing a shoulder press for my neck, I snapped a disc. Ended up having a C5, C6 fusion, and I've been in pain ever since. But then I went and said, okay, I'll stop lifting. I'm going to just walk on the treadmill. I got bone spurs under both my feet. So, anyways, it just kind of ruined my body. When I moved back to Michigan, they did take me off the prednisone. They didn't like that theory of dosing me full of that, but it takes years to weed off of it. So it's probably a 4-year process. Eventually I did go back to work. I suffered through it. I worked as hard as long as I could, but every now and again it would flare up and I'd end up in the hospital. And, companies don't love it when you don't work. And
No, no, they don't,
I
unfortunately.
found myself changing jobs quite often because they don't like that. Um,
Right.
so I did really well while I was working for them. I just couldn't keep it up. And I did that all the way until I was about 54 years old. And so I got diagnosed at 37. I worked till I was 54, but it just got so hard. I was in so much pain. I was carrying ice packs with me in my car to wrap around my neck while I was calling on accounts. It just got too difficult. So I finally went in for disability, and they actually approved me in about 7 minutes and never even asked about my kidney disease. It was all because of the pain I was in and the inability to drive, fly, walk, sit at a computer. They're kind of like,
Oh,
well, I can't find a job that you could do then. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. It isn't good news necessarily. A lot of people were like, oh, you're great, you get disability. I'm like, no, I lost
no.
about $100,000 a year job. So no, it's not great. But
Right.
I really didn't have a choice. But so
Yeah.
going back to the disease, they knew it was an autoimmune, but I also had a lot of side effects similar to lupus. I went through a severe bout of joint pain. So they even tried, I did about a year of chemo. It's a chemo they use a lot for rheumatoid arthritis, called Rituxan
Okay.
and Cytoxan. So I went through that. It helped for a little bit, but then it didn't. So they stopped that program. Um, and so it was a lot of joint pain, bone pain, severe muscle weakness, and myopathy.
Mhm.
So that's kind of how I lived. It was always in the 30 to 40% function of my kidneys for since I've ever had it. So I don't even really know what it feels like anymore to be healthy.
Well,
Um,
right.
and then what does that bring you? You don't have much of an immune system. I have an autoimmune disease. I had my spleen removed. So really, I have no way to rejuvenate my body from all of these painful issues. So we're hoping with a transplant that brings some of my rejuvenation process back and I can start to
Right.
heal. Yeah, that's my most exciting thought in my head is the ability to heal. So about 2 years ago, they finally my GFR dropped to about 20, and they said, "Look, you better get ready. It looks like you're going to have to go on dialysis." And at the
Yeah.
time, I mentioned something on Facebook, and I had a fraternity brother volunteer to donate a kidney. So we went through that whole process for about a year and a half, and about 2 weeks before surgery, he backed out. So I
Oh,
lost
I'm so
that
sorry.
donor, and then I had a backup donor, which was my cousin, but she had some of her own health issues to deal with. We went through the system again for over a year, and just a few weeks ago, she was told by her doctor she cannot donate. So I went from thinking I had two donors to having zero donors. And
Yeah.
I've now been on dialysis for about a year, and I've been on the donor transplant list for a little over 2 years.
Okay.
So, in most cases, at least with my current hospital at Henry Ford, the wait
Yep.
time for a deceased donor is probably 3 to 5 years. So, I think
Hmm.
the earliest I'll get a call would be maybe in a year. Um, the the best option is obviously a live donor, which is why I'm
Live
here
donor.
talking to you.
Yep.
Live donors are much healthier kidneys, and you'll usually get, say, 20 years out of it. And
Hmm.
that's how long I'll probably live anyways, because I'm 62. So if I could get 20 years out of a live donor, I would be thrilled. My goal is, and the thing that keeps me fighting this hard is I would love to start golfing again. I would love to start going to the gym again. I've lost all of those abilities. The disease has
Right.
kept me prisoner in my own house because I'm on dialysis 9 hours a day. And it just doesn't give you a lot of freedoms to go out and do things. So,
Yeah. Well, in your case, kidney disease not only changed your life, it took over your whole life.
yeah, yeah. And
And then,
then it really starts to affect you mentally because then
right.
here's an active, outgoing, social person. I love
Yeah.
to be in the center of every group. I'm a funny guy. I can't do it anymore. I can't go out. I rarely
Yeah.
am at anything social. Part of it is my anxiety levels are so high. I don't even like
Yeah.
going out much.
Yeah.
And of course,
Understandable.
the bad thing about anxiety levels going up is that also increases pain levels. So
Pain levels.
all
Yeah.
in all, it's a cyclical problem that you can't really fight. And I really don't like making plans for too far in the future because I don't know any given day how I'm going to feel. And I hate,
Feel.
oh, I'm going to go to lunch with you on Friday, and then I wake up Friday morning and I'm sick. So it's just hard to make social plans. So
Yeah.
that's kind of
Yeah.
where I'm at now. I'm very sick, and I really would like to find a donor to get me back to a little bit of normalcy.
Very good. Well, I mean, you've really covered a lot of things here. We're
Yeah.
going to take a short commercial break and we're going to talk just a little bit more about what's going on and then how you watching tonight can help Mark become his living donor. We'll be right back, folks, with another part of this episode.
You'll do better at Garber.
Garber's exclusive low price guarantee. No one else has it. It's Garber's promise to you to enjoy better prices and better payments. Not on just a few random vehicles, but every new car, truck, and SUV at every Garber dealership. And Garber's variety and selection is unmatched in the Great Lakes Bay region. Enjoy a better buying experience with Garber's exclusive low price guarantee.
You'll do better at Garber.
Garber, we make it better for you.
And welcome back, folks, to tonight's episode of Drive for Life. Again, I'm your host, Brian Martindale. I'm here with our friend Mark Cooper from Okemos, Michigan tonight. Mark, thanks again for joining us. In the first part of your story, we really covered how disabling kidney disease has been, how some of the drugs, and prednisone in your case, affected your whole life. And now, I mean, you're just in pain all the time, disabled, basically, and it's taken over your life, correct?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, so we want to talk about now how you can help Mark because Mark is listed with the Henry Ford transplant system here in Michigan, but it doesn't matter where in the United States you're watching this from. I'd like you to know that because they participate in what's called pair donation. A lot of times you'll see a story like Mark's and somebody will see just a blood type told with the story and right away they think, I'm not a blood type, so I can't help Mark. Well, in this case, no matter what blood type you are, as long as you have two functional kidneys and you're in good health, you can participate in what's called pair donation for Mark. You donate to somebody you exactly match through their program at Henry Ford, which produces a voucher or a credit. Mark is pushed to the top of the list, and the next kidney that matches him goes to him. So two lives are saved in this case, or more in pair donation, because I'm sure you know, Mark, there's a lot of times pair donation turns into a chain donation
Sure.
and set multiple donations. So I just wanted to put in my part about that. And at 60, I'll be 65 this year, and I'm 14 years from donating to a 10-year-old girl, and I run around with the energy of a 30-year-old. And I want people to know how safe it is and that you can give Mark back that ability to do the same thing. Because that's what you're missing right now, right? You're living in a cage.
Yeah. I equate it to being in prison. I think, I just feel like I can't they've taken everything away from me that I enjoyed. So it feels like a
Right.
punishment almost. And
Right.
and it's hard because a lot of people don't look at you like you don't look sick. And I'm like, wait,
Right.
you don't see me at 10 o'clock at night when the lights are out and I'm hooked to a machine. But it
Right.
really limits your life, and to the point where you wonder, do you even have a life? You know,
Yeah.
I went through that with
Yeah.
my parents. You know, when they had Alzheimer's, I was like, this isn't a good quality of life. It's unfair. And you're not
Right.
far from that when you're on dialysis. You just don't have a
Dialysis.
real great quality of life.
Right. And for some people, it's more disabling than others.
Yep.
You're on dialysis daily,
Yep.
and some people that are on dialysis the 3 times a week at the centers, it takes too much of their energy.
Yeah.
It seeps that out, and you're already feeling a disability from your neck, which came on
Hmm.
from what prednisone, which was connected to your kidney
Hmm.
disease.
Yeah.
So it's like a vicious circle in your case.
Yep. And
So,
but before I went on dialysis, I was still going to the gym for 3 times a week. So
right,
again, stealing something away from you that you really enjoy
right.
is really hard mentally. That's one of the worst parts of this.
Right, because your world like you said, you traveled the world with your business,
Yep.
and the gym routine and golf and activities,
Yeah.
and then you're in this apartment, and pretty much that is your whole world because of everything that's going on,
Yeah.
your pain, anxiety, and all the things that come with chronic kidney disease in your case.
Yeah. And also just one other thing to add to make me sound more miserable is because this happened to me at 37, I hadn't been married. So I
Right,
didn't want to get married after that because I didn't want to pull somebody into my mess. So I
right,
remained single without children, and both my parents passed away last year. So I really don't have family anymore to help. So that's one of the hardest things, is to go through this alone, right? Every
yeah,
day when you're
without a
sick,
support system.
yeah, you want to pick up a phone and tell someone a story of what happened, and you're like, wait, I don't have anyone to call. So
Right.
yeah,
Or if
that
you've
that
even just had
that
a
part
bad
of the
day on dialysis.
yeah, it's hard to
Yeah,
do alone. So
yeah. And that's what Kidneys for Kids, Kidneys for Kids in Michigan, for you, those of you who are watching, this is a pilot program for adults in Michigan. So we're helping to recruit Mark's kidney donor, as we do for children around the country, by telling his story, by telling how safe and how wonderfully it affects your life being a donor, whether you know the person or whether you donate to a stranger. You saved a life. But especially, I've gotten to know my recipient, like family, and she was a stranger. And if you get that in life, to see somebody that was sick like you, Mark, and then
mhm,
go to a fulfilling life, back to college and everything she's doing, and we want to see that for you, going back to work,
yeah,
side relationships, having a life, having the chance at a family going
yeah,
forward, because this
that's
is
that
all for
it's
you.
all important.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we told you, to register for Mark, first of all, you're going to see his profile on kidneysforkids.org, and there'll be a direct link there to the Henry Ford program where you can register for him. We're here to talk to you about living donation. We can mentor you through our programs with the National Kidney Donation Organization, and we can be the bridge between yourself and Henry Ford and his program to get Mark transplanted, and to tell you what a wonderful process it is and what a life-saving, life-changing process it is for you, as well as it will be for Mark. So, is there anything you'd like to add, Mark? You were so good at covering everything today.
I probably gave you too much detail, but no, I think that's my story. Don't be fooled by the smile on my face, because a lot of people say that, like, you seem so happy and you look so normal, but that's just because I'm in a social setting right now. It's
Right.
goes away when you're alone, and that's the hardest part.
Yeah, and I think we hear that more from our adult patients, that, and especially if, disabled and not being able to work. We
Hmm.
have several people like you. And yeah, without the support system, without people understanding what you're feeling,
Hmm. Hmm.
you don't have anybody to turn to and express you're dealing with it mentally, and you need that support system there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I agree.
so
Pre-
thank you for joining us tonight, Mark, first of all.
Appreciate it.
Um, we're going to put this out. Like I say, this is going to be worldwide next week when this is broadcast. And we hope, ladies and gentlemen, that you will respond. All of Mark's information, again, will be on the kidneysforkids.org website. You'll go to Henry Ford, their living donor program, to register for him. And no matter the blood type, you can be his hero living donor and life-changing living donor. Mark, thank you for joining us tonight. God bless you. And we're going to do what we can to make your story a happy one.
Thank you. Appreciate your help.
You bet. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on another episode of Drive for Life. Again, I'm your host, Brian Martindale, coming to you from the Carmaker Apparel Studios. Have a blessed evening. We'll see you again next week.